Even from afar, Jake Paul's knockout of Tyron Woodley was brutal. However, the strike was more brutal up close. On Saturday night at O'Malley Arena in Tampa, Fla, cameras positioned ringside caught the highlight reel finish as Paul landed an overhand right that sent Woodley face first to the canvas. The punch's force can be seen in the burst of sweat that comes off Woodley as the punch lands. There is no need for a count as YouTuber-turned-boxer Paul moves to a corner to celebrate his 5th professional victory. After a split decision loss to Paul in August, Woodley fell to 0-2 in the ring. After Paul's original opponent, Tommy Fury, withdrew from the fight due to injury and illness, the former UFC welterweight champion agreed to a rematch on 2 weeks' notice. There have been allegations that Jake Paul's knockout victory over Tyron Woodley was rigged. Social media users have labeled the knockout as staged. Initially, Paul was accused of twisting his hand as a signal to trigger the knockout win, while Woodley was accused of dropping his hands ahead of the punch. One TikTok user claims to have witnessed another signal between the fighters, accusing them of nodding at each other moments before the knockout. A new angle of the knockout, however, appears to show Paul's punch connecting with full force, casting doubt on claims that the fight was rigged. George Kambosos Jr., the unified lightweight world champion, retweeted a video of the knockout with the caption, "That was nasty." Paul quickly responded to the Australian, tweeting, "Just try not be like you, champ." Paul has already turned his attention to his next fight, calling out a number of UFC fighters in his post-fight interviews, including Conor McGregor. "I just knocked out a 5-time UFC champion and embarrassed your entire company," Paul said when asked if he had a message for UFC President Dana White. Please let me get Kamaru Usman, Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, and Conor McGregor because I'm going to embarrass them all. You can't possibly afford me. You can't fucking afford me, and those other names you mentioned," Masvidal said. "I know how much you pay. You make a big deal out of nothing. You say $50 million here, $100 million there. Bullshit. I'll let you in on a little secret. I fight for money or against the best fighters in the world. You're neither one." Masvidal, who was present at the O'Malley Arena, has since responded to Paul in a social media video. Paul's professional boxing record now stands at 5-0, with victories over an Essen Jib, Nate Robinson, and Ben Askren. The first Paul vs. Woodley fight did not have an official purse, but the former UFC welterweight champion is thought to have earned £1.5 million, $2 million. According to reports, the YouTuber-turned-boxer won the first fight for at least £3.77 million, $5 million. Jake Paul makes surprising boxing decision following Tyron Woodley knockout. The 25-year-old has been extremely active in the ring recently, fighting 4 times in 13 months. His first 2 fights during this time period did not last past the 2nd round, as he knocked out both Nate Robinson and Ben Askren early on. In August, he went the distance with Woodley before stopping him in brutal fashion in the rematch, despite still going 6 rounds. Paul hasn't shied away from naming other potential opponents, but the Mirror reports that the problem child will take a 7-month break from the squared circle. He'll take his first vacation in 6 years and instead focus on promoting the rumored fight between Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. The fight, which would be for the undisputed lightweight title, is being billed as the biggest in women's boxing history. Serrano, the WBC, WBO, and IBO female featherweight champion, signed with Paul's most valuable promotions and competed on his last 2 undercards. Paul, who is working with manager and former UFC chief financial officer Nakasa Bulgarian, would co-promote the fight with Matchroom Boxing's Eddie Hearn, whom he met when he was involved in Logan's 2nd meeting with KSI. Paul is considering holding his first event in April or May at New York's iconic Madison Square Garden, though he will not be competing. Former world champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is the leading contender for his next opponent, and he claims Paul's team has already contacted him. The 35-year-old wants a 50-50 split of the prize money, but has stated that if he fails to beat the YouTube star, he will forfeit his earnings. "I'm hoping to make a few $1 million with Jake Paul. If he beats me, I'll retire because I'm not paid. I don't want money unless I beat him," he explained to TV Boxio. "Retirement. If I don't win, I'm not interested in his money. The Pauls raise a lot of expectations and money, so a match with me would be ideal. They haven't learned to fight well, which I can take advantage of, Jake. Paul has the ability to punch and punch well, but he is nothing close to a boxer." Tyron Woodley's coach on claims of staged knockout. Following the withdrawal of Tommy Fury, Team Paul drafted in Woodley for a rematch after a close fight in August. The problem child took no prisoners and knocked out his opponent with a devastating overhand right flush on the chin. However, the closing sequence piqued the interest of some fans and critics, who suspected it was a ruse. However, Woodley's coach Din Thomas has dismissed claims that the fight was staged, joking that if the fight had been staged, he would have taken the night off and partied. That entire theory makes me laugh, because I was in his camp and knew how serious it was on Sirius XM. He told MMA. It was serious because Tyron wanted this win back, he wanted this fight, and it was a serious thing. Thomas continued, saying, "Now, if it had been a dive, I wish they had informed me because I would not have shown up and would have taken the night off. I thought I'd be partying, but that wasn't the case. I mean, it was a real fight." It's not the first time Paul has been accused of taking part in a prearranged fight. His April victory over Ben Askren was also the subject of fixed claims, despite the fact that no evidence has been presented to suggest that his victories were rigged. Meanwhile, Paul went 3-0 in 2021 as he prepares to take on Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez next year. But his next target is former world champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Tyron Woodley rewards fan for best meme. Tyron Woodley has remained gracious in defeat despite being knocked out by a YouTuber. In fact, he's not only extremely gracious, but the former UFC champion can also see the lighter side of things, so much so that he launched a competition in which he'll award $5,000 to the best meme knockout. And there was an obvious winner. Following the demoralizing defeat, social media users wasted no time in spitting out a slew of hilarious memes that best summarized how the fight played out. Surprise, surprise, Woodley laying face down on the canvas was the punchline of the jokes, though many other interpretations were equally amusing. Woodley acted quickly, realizing he could use this to his advantage, and created the competition. Not only did this make him look like a total badass for taking the loss in stride, but it also provided an opportunity for internet sleuths to put their creative juices to the test. In the end, user Chris Ashley came out on top, earning $5,000 for his brilliant meme. Ashley uses some impressive CGI in the clip to make it appear as if Woodley falls into the shadow realm after taking a huge overhand right to the chin. He then appears as a cameo in the Finding Nemo film before landing on a sofa with Ben Askren, Nate Robinson, and Conor McGregor. Woodley posted the video to Instagram with the caption, "Christmas greetings. Do some good and spread some love." Woodley insisted after the fight that he didn't want sympathy, but he did admit that we should start viewing Jake Paul as a legitimate fighter. "I'm not finished yet. Please don't look at me with a sad expression on your face. Please do not shake your head at me," according to Woodley. "I messed a lot of people up. We're going to have to start treating Jake's name with a little more respect at some point. I never thought of him as a power puncher. That is something we have always known. That is why my defense was so strong. The same shit would have happened if he had dropped his hand on me. I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. I consider myself fortunate to be here. I'm grateful for the opportunity to come out here and fight again to prove to you guys that I'm still fucking here." This marks the end of our show today. Hope you enjoyed it. If so, please subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Bye. It's been nice having you. See you in the next video.